Chapter 21, 3-year-old couple 5. Even after Nanhoa left, he obediently stood there waiting for her. The medicine was cold, and it felt very comfortable to apply. Nanhoa carefully applied the medicine to the exposed skin. She then handed the medicine to him. "My neck is also very itchy, can you help me apply it too?" The two changed positions. Hwang Tae Kyung looked at the person below, slender figure, neck and back exposed a large patch of white skin, somewhat at a loss, face slightly hot. When he lowered his head to regain his senses, he found her neck pitiful and unbearable to look at. "Fairy, don't you feel it? It's all red and swollen." Nanhoa hummed, "I know. Your neck is like that, so it must be the worm bite." Hwang Tae Kyung paused for a moment, bowed his head seriously, and helped her apply the medicine. The group that went to chop the bamboo tree finished very quickly because there were few things. They waited for Nanhoa's group to finish chopping. And they all came together to help carry the wooden head back. Lu Huian and Nanhoa together carried Nanhoa's smallest tree. Even so, knowing that she had chopped down a tree with her own hands, the other 3 people were all gaping in disbelief. On the way, Lu Huian teased, "From today onwards, the National Fairy wants to change her name to National Strongman." Pointing at the screen again, "Don't call me female warrior anymore. Compared to your fairy, I am the weak little flower," she said, making a weak gesture. Nanhoa laughed so much that she almost couldn't hug the wooden head. After cutting down the wooden head, several men crawled up and down to start building the tent. Nanhoa and Lu Huian used bamboo to build a fence, and stripped the inside of one of the bamboos, wanting to weave a movable door. Nanhoa actually knew this part. Because in her memory, in her previous life she was weaving fences in the countryside. However, because her hands were rubbed by cutting trees, when she did this work, her hands often hurt so much that she couldn't hold on. Until nightfall, the 4 men were only building a frame, and the girls were only building a bamboo gate. It was almost dinner time, and the 6 of them cooked dinner together. When eating, everyone's hands were shaking so much that they couldn't hold their chopsticks, and they were shaking so much that they couldn't even hold their food. Everyone at the table was laughing crazily, not even eating their food. They were pointing at each other and laughing. In the evening, while everyone was washing their faces, Nanhoa quickly took off her jewelry and washed her face, then in the room she applied the medicine. "Yuhi, guess what I brought you?" Jeremy happily ran in with his voice and golden hair. He held a cake, which he had avoided the program crew to keep. He originally wanted to give it to her. After all, the food they made was really too bad. He didn't expect to see Nanhoa's miserable hands. Of course, in Nanhoa's eyes, it was just a few blood floats, but for Jeremy, who had never suffered before, such wounds were truly terrifying. Nanhoa withdrew her hand and comforted Jeremy, who looked as if he was injured himself. "It's nothing, it just looks scary. When you first hold a machete, it will be like that. It will be fine after 2 days." Jeremy was both heartbroken and impressed. "Yuhi, you are so strong." Nanhoa was both amused and annoyed. What was going on? Jeremy was indeed her fan. If someone saw that, they would probably mock her for being useless and spoiled since childhood. Jeremy suddenly let go of the cake in his hand, telling her to eat it quickly while the show crew wasn't looking, while he hurriedly ran out. Nanhoa shook her head, with a bit of a spoiled older sister smile, and looked at the cameras again. "This. Can I eat it?" The other cameras were shaking left and right. Nanhoa was surprised and widened her eyes. "You actually refused? If I don't eat it, it will spoil tomorrow, right? We can't waste food," she said, pointing at the camera, and quickly whispered, "Nod to eat, shake your head to not eat, nod to eat, shake your head to not eat, shake your head to eat, nod to not eat." Then the other camera slowly shook its head. She laughed. "Ha ha, you agree, shaking your head can eat. I will eat then." Hwang Tae Kyung leaned against the door and looked at the fairy, who looked like a fool, and muttered to herself, his lips slightly curved into a smile, but immediately changed to a speechless expression. She just opened the cake and saw him. "Wow, scared me to death, you didn't even make a sound when you entered the door?" Hwang Tae Kyung staggered in and threw her an ointment. Jeremy asked me to bring it. Nan Hoa took the ointment and looked at it, then asked strangely, "Where is he?" She thought he suddenly ran out, because of some urgent matter. Hwang Tae Kyung remembered just now when Jeremy told him that the fairy was injured, making him act well, but seeing that the fairy didn't understand at all, he suddenly felt a little guilty, touched his nose, and said angrily, "I gave you to use, so use it, why ask so many questions?" Nan Hoa looked at him inexplicably. Why did she feel he is guilty? Could this not be Jeremy's ointment? The truth proved that her suspicion was correct. After the broadcast, the cameras faithfully recorded Hwang Tae Kyung giving her his own ointment, and still arrogantly refusing to admit it, because of the blisters that made it difficult to bend her hands. Even though Nan Hoa could eat the cake, she still couldn't use a fork. Hwang Tae Kyung saw her set up a bed of bottles and jars. The medicine was only half empty, he really couldn't see it. He grabbed her hand and personally gave her the medicine. After finishing, he cut the cake for her, so that she could directly eat it. Nan Hoa is not a heartless person. Seeing him try his best, she gave him half of the not-so-big cake. The next day, all the celebrities who had worked all day yesterday were unable to come up. The director had the bad intention of releasing a super loud speaker, but as a result, everyone covered themselves with blankets and continued sleeping. Half an hour later, Jin Yongha was the first to walk up with difficulty, then kicked Zhang Jingshan awake. Jeremy also woke up, but did not dare to disturb the great devil who had a habit of getting angry when being woken up. On the other side, Lu Huyen had finished washing her face, while Nan Hoa was still sleeping. Lu Huyen brought the cameraman to get close to her, pointing at her exposed hand, only to see the sleeves rolled up to reveal her upper arm. There were quite a few traces of silver, and a pair of hands. Besides the blisters there were also several cuts and wounds from bamboo blades. Lu Huyen made the camera take a close-up. National Fairy's hands. Made a very painful expression. Lu Huyen had a very good impression of Nan Hoa. In this program, other than her, there was no female artist who could endure hardships like Nan Hoa. Many times, she actually did most of the work, and in the end, when it was edited, the others still worked very hard, making fans feel sorry for them. Therefore, even though the others were all injured, she still deliberately let the cameras take a close-up of Nan Hoa's hands to help Nan Hoa gain favor. She believes because of the ratings, the show crew will definitely not cut it. When someone reached over, Nan Hoa suddenly woke up, her body dodged under the blanket, immediately. The tone was soft and confused. It made the eldest sister, Lu Haiyuan's heart melt, and she couldn't bear to call out again. On the other side, Jeremy was sent by his big brother Jin Yongha to wake up Hwang Tae Kyung. Afraid of the threat of violence, poor Jeremy could only tremble in his heart and go. He was seen from the beginning very carefully leaning close to Hwang Tae Kyung's ear and shouting a few times, "Get up, Tae Kyung brother. Tae Kyung brother. Tae Kyung brother." The voice became smaller and smaller. The other party snorted and angrily covered his head with the blanket. Jeremy looked at the camera crew who was indifferently looking at him, looked at the team leader who continued to sleep, gritted his teeth, went to his ear, and shouted, "Tae Kyung brother, get up," called and jumped up and ran. Hwang Tae Kyung sat up angrily. I'm sorry Tae Kyung brother. I was forced. If I didn't wake you up, they wouldn't let me eat. I'm sorry. Jeremy was so scared that he screamed and ran away. Hwang Tae Kyung rubbed his hair in frustration, his face darkened as he went to wash his face. After the two kings of oversleeping left, they were naturally laughed at. Nan Hoa and Hwang Tae Kyung had the feeling of being in the same situation. The next morning, everyone mainly continued to finish the work they didn't do well yesterday, and by the afternoon, they could chase all the old man's pigs to the new pigsty. Nobody wants to go chasing pigs. The most lazy Zhang Jingcan pointed at Yan Hua and Hwang Tae Kyung, "Then do these two. The seniors are all awake, but these two guys are still sleeping. Now make these two guys chase pigs." On the first day, Zhang Jingcan was still in front of Yan Hua, all kinds of flattery, suffering for 2 days. Women were all treated as men, as long as they didn't work, anything was fine. Such a good weakness was caught by them. Of course Nan Hoa and Hwang Tae Kyung's protests were ineffective, so they had no choice but to follow the staff to receive it. Also don't know whether or not this pig has become a spirit. Hwang Tae Kyung is used to being clean, wanted to hide behind Nan Hoa. But Nan Hoa accepted it with an unchanged expression. As a result the pig deliberately kept poking at Hwang Tae Kyung's leg. He ran, the pig also followed. Nan Hoa laughed while shouting from behind, "Run towards our pigsty, quickly, run towards the pigsty." He thought that she was trying to save him, and sure enough, he followed her words and ran. Then, the 4 people in the yard saw Hwang Tae Kyung running all the way, followed by 2 pigs. Nan Hoa shouted from behind, "Run inside." He instinctively ran in. Then the 2 pigs also followed in, closely following Nan Hoa, closing the barn door. Ha 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 ha, everyone laughed and lay on the ground. Hwang Tae Kyung was gnashing his teeth inside. Nan Hoa quickly gave him her hand, "Come out here." He looked back at the pig that was about to lean on him, hesitated for half a second then immediately grabbed her hand and walked out. Except for Hwang Tae Kyung, who was about to die of anger. Everyone felt happy and satisfied after completing the mission, planning to invite the old man to come and check. At this time, Nan Hoa and Hwang Tae Kyung received the punishment program team's card. "Because you 2 broke the rules yesterday and secretly ate the cake, now the punishment is to go up the mountain and pick enough grass to feed the pigs." She strongly protested, "You agreed to it yourselves." PD Lee raised his hand and made a rubbing gesture, shaking his head and smiling. Nan Hoa's entire spirit and energy were drained away, her shoulders slumped and her head drooped. Hwang Tae Kyung was still angry about what happened just now. He angrily grabbed the basket and left. Nan Hoa stuck out her tongue at everyone and quickly ran after him. "Tae Kyung oppa? Are you angry?" Hwang Tae Kyung walked around her and continued walking forward. Nan Hoa knew, this time he was completely angry. Thinking back, it seemed like she was a bit too much. After all, the other party had a habit of being clean, but she would do that. In fact, it was also to see Hwang Tae Kyung's soft heart. She had a bit of bullying the weak. "Tae Kyung oppa, I was wrong. What do you want to do to stop being angry?" Hwang Tae Kyung snorted coldly, ignoring it. "Actually, pigs are also very cute. Although they are a bit dirty, they won't really bite you. I also knew that you wouldn't get hurt, so I quickly decided. Otherwise, if they were running around, wouldn't we still have to chase them everywhere?" Nan Hoa jogged to catch up with him, his extremely fast steps, trying to regulate the atmosphere. "The fact that they are chasing you means that you have a karmic affinity with animals." Hwang Tae Kyung suddenly stopped. Nan Hoa almost bumped into him.